Princess Beatrice of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha was born into one of Europe's most interconnected royal families. A granddaughter of Queen Victoria, she married into the Spanish royal house at a moment when monarchy still appeared permanent. But history would move faster than titles. Her 3 sons were born into privilege, educated across borders, and raised with expectations shaped by both British and Spanish royal traditions. Yet their lives unfolded during one of the most disruptive periods in modern European history, marked by exile, war, and the steady shrinking of royal power. This video does not revisit Princess Beatrice herself. Instead, it follows what became of her children, in strict chronological order. Each life is examined from birth to death, including education, career paths, marriages, children, and legacy. No story is paused or revisited later. Each chapter stands complete, revealing how one royal household produced 3 very different outcomes. Princess Beatrice of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha was born in 1884, the daughter of Prince Alfred, Duke of Edinburgh, and Grand Duchess Maria Alexandrovna of Russia. Through her father, she descended directly from Queen Victoria. Through her mother, she connected to the Russian imperial family. In 1909, she married Infante Alfonso of Spain, Duke of Galiera. Alfonso was the son of Infante Antonio, Duke of Montpensier, making him a cousin of the reigning Spanish monarch, King Alfonso XIII. The marriage united British, German, Russian, and Spanish royal bloodlines in a single household. The Duke and Duchess of Galiera established their primary residence between Spain and the broader European royal circuit. Their position was elevated but peripheral, connected to reigning houses without direct succession rights. This status would shape their children's identities and opportunities across the coming decades. Spain, at the beginning of the 20th century, remained a constitutional monarchy under the Bourbon dynasty. The country had lost its American colonies in 1898, but maintained territories in North Africa. Political instability was growing, but royal institutions appeared secure. Royal education followed established European patterns. Sons received multilingual instruction, spent time in different countries, and prepared for ceremonial roles rather than professional careers. The expectation was representation, not employment. Marriage alliances remained central to royal strategy. Sons were expected to marry appropriately, continue family lines, and maintain the social networks that sustained European aristocracy. These assumptions would govern the early years of Princess Beatrice's children. Infante Alvaro was born on April 20, 1910, in Coburg, Germany. As the eldest son, he inherited the title of Duke of Galiera from birth, though he would not assume its full responsibilities until his father's death. His birth occurred during a visit to the Saxe-Coburg family estates. This location reflected his mother's German heritage and the continued mobility of European royal families. National borders were less significant for royal households than they would become later in the century. Alvaro's godparents included King Alfonso XIII of Spain and various German relatives. These connections established his position within multiple royal networks from infancy. Alvaro's early childhood alternated between Spain, Germany, and visits to other European courts. This mobility was standard for royal families who maintained residences across countries and treated national boundaries as administrative rather than cultural barriers. His early education began with private tutors who taught him Spanish, German, English, and French. This linguistic foundation reflected his family's international position and prepared him for a life conducted across multiple countries. The household maintained the formal protocols associated with royal status. Alvaro was addressed by his titles from childhood and grew up within the structured environment that defined aristocratic education. Following European royal tradition, Alvaro was sent to England for his formal education. He attended preparatory schools that specialized in educating the sons of international aristocracy. The English education system was considered the standard for European royal children. It provided academic instruction alongside social training and the protocols and expectations of royal behavior. This period solidified Alvaro's international outlook. He formed friendships with other royal and aristocratic children from across Europe, creating the social networks that would sustain him throughout his adult life. Alvaro's adolescence coincided with the aftermath of World War I and growing political instability across Europe. Traditional monarchies faced unprecedented challenges, though the immediate impact on his daily life remained limited. Spain had remained neutral during the war, but Republican sentiment was growing. The monarchy faced increasing criticism, and royal relatives like Alvaro's family occupied an increasingly uncertain position. Despite these broader changes, Alvaro's education continued along established lines. He completed his studies and prepared to assume the adult responsibilities associated with his title and position. Upon reaching majority, Alvaro had no profession in the modern sense. Royal relatives were expected to represent their families at social and ceremonial events rather than pursue independent careers. His daily life involved managing estates, attending official functions, and maintaining the social obligations associated with his rank. This lifestyle depended entirely on inherited wealth and established social networks. The role required extensive travel, language skills, and familiarity with the protocols of different courts. Alvaro had been prepared for these responsibilities throughout his education. In 1931, King Alfonso XIII abdicated, and Spain became a republic. The royal family left the country, beginning a period of exile that would last until 1975. This political change directly affected Alvaro's family. As relatives of the deposed monarch, they lost their official positions within Spanish society. Their income and properties became uncertain. The family relocated to various European destinations, maintaining their titles but losing their political relevance. This exile would define the remainder of Alvaro's life and establish the context for his future marriage and family decisions. Infante Alfonso, Duke of Galiera, died on November 24, 1937. Alvaro inherited the dukedom, becoming the third Duke of Galiera at age 27. The inheritance included family properties and financial assets, though their value had been affected by the political upheavals of the 1930s. Alvaro became the head of his branch of the family during a period of continued uncertainty. The title carried social prestige but limited practical authority. Alvaro's role shifted from heir to family head, with increased responsibilities for representing his lineage and maintaining its position within European aristocracy. Despite the Spanish Republic, Alvaro maintained recognition within international aristocratic circles. His titles were acknowledged by other European courts and aristocratic organizations. He received various honorary appointments and decorations from monarchist organizations and foreign courts. These positions provided ceremonial roles but no political power. The honors reflected his family's continued status within the displaced European aristocracy. They maintained the forms of royal recognition while lacking the substance of political authority. On June 7, 1937, Alvaro married Carla Parodi Delfino in Neuilly-sur-Seine, France. The ceremony occurred shortly before his father's death and his inheritance of the dukedom. Carla came from an Italian aristocratic family with connections to both Italian and international high society. Her background was appropriate for a royal marriage, though not from a reigning house. The marriage was celebrated within the exile community but lacked the state ceremony that would have accompanied a royal wedding in earlier periods. This reflected the changed circumstances of European royalty in the 1930s. Alvaro and Carla had 3 children. Their eldest son, Alfonso, was born in 1941. Their daughter, Beatrice, was born in 1943. Their youngest son, Alvaro, was born in 1947. The family maintained royal protocols within their household despite their exile status. The children were educated according to aristocratic traditions and prepared to continue family obligations. Their residence shifted between various European locations as political circumstances changed. The family maintained properties in multiple countries, reflecting both practical necessity and aristocratic tradition. Alfonso, Alvaro's eldest son and heir, died in a car accident in 1975 at age 34. The death occurred in Spain, where the family had recently returned following Franco's restoration of the monarchy. The loss eliminated the direct line of succession and required adjustment to inheritance plans. Alfonso had been married to Maria del Carmen Martinez Bourdieu, granddaughter of Francisco Franco, but left no children. This tragedy fundamentally altered the family's dynastic prospects. The title would eventually pass to Alvaro's younger son rather than continuing through the eldest line. Following Spain's return to monarchy in 1975, Alvaro resumed residence in Spain while maintaining international connections. His role remained ceremonial and social rather than political. He participated in official events when appropriate and maintained his position within Spanish aristocratic society. His presence provided continuity with the pre-Republican period while adapting to modern constitutional monarchy. The later decades of his life were characterized by family responsibilities and the management of his remaining properties and investments. With the death of his eldest son, the succession shifted to Alvaro's younger son, also named Alvaro. This represented a departure from the expected line of inheritance but maintained family continuity. The younger Alvaro had been educated for aristocratic life but not specifically prepared as the primary heir. The change required adjustment of roles and responsibilities within the family. The succession ensured that the Galiera title would continue into the next generation, despite the tragedy that had eliminated the original heir. Infante Alvaro, 3rd Duke of Galiera, died on August 22, 1897, in Monaco, at age 87. His death marked the end of the longest life among Princess Beatrice's children. The funeral was attended by representatives of European royal families and reflected his position within international aristocratic society. Despite political changes, royal networks had maintained their social significance. His death closed a chapter that had spanned from the height of European monarchy through its transformation into constitutional ceremonialism. Alvaro maintained a close relationship with his mother throughout her life. Princess Beatrice died in 1966, having witnessed her eldest son's marriage, the birth of her grandchildren, and the family's return from exile. Their correspondence and family gatherings reflected the formal but affectionate relationships typical of royal families. Princess Beatrice provided guidance on aristocratic protocols and family traditions. Her influence was evident in Alvaro's commitment to maintaining family dignity and continuity despite political upheavals and personal tragedies. Alvaro's relationship with his father was shaped by expectations of dynastic continuity. Infante Alfonso prepared his eldest son to assume family leadership and maintain their position within European aristocracy. Their relationship followed traditional patterns of royal education and preparation. Alfonso provided instruction in estate management, social obligations, and the maintenance of aristocratic status. The early death of Infante Alfonso in 1937 cut short this guidance, but left Alvaro with sufficient preparation to assume family responsibilities during a difficult period. Prince Alonso of Orléans was born on November 12, 1912, in Madrid. As the second son of Infante Alfonso, Duke of Galiera, and Princess Beatrice, his position was elevated but without direct inheritance expectations. His birth occurred during a period of relative stability for the Spanish monarchy. King Alfonso XIII maintained his throne, and royal relatives like Alonso's family occupied secure positions within Spanish society. The timing of his birth, 2 years after his elder brother, established his role as the secondary heir, important to family continuity but not primary in succession planning. Alonso's early education followed the same pattern as his elder brother. He received instruction from private tutors in languages, history, and the social skills appropriate to his rank. Like Alvaro, he spent time in various European countries as the family maintained their international connections. This mobility provided linguistic skills and cultural familiarity across national boundaries. His education prepared him for the ceremonial and social roles associated with royal status rather than professional employment. The assumption was that inherited position would define his adult life. As Alonso reached adulthood in the early 1930s, he developed interests in aviation and military affairs. These pursuits were common among European royal men and reflected both personal interest and social expectations. Aviation represented modernity and technological progress while maintaining connections to military traditions. Royal participation in flying demonstrated engagement with contemporary developments. His association with aviation circles brought him into contact with Spanish military personnel and enthusiasts during a period of increasing political tension. The Spanish Civil War began in July 1936 with a military uprising against the Second Spanish Republic. The conflict divided Spanish society and created dangerous conditions for anyone associated with the former monarchy. Royal family members faced particular risks due to their identification with the old regime. Republican forces viewed them as symbols of the aristocratic system they sought to eliminate. The war created chaos across Spain, with shifting battle lines, breakdown of civil authority, and widespread violence against perceived enemies of the Republic. Prince Alonso died in 1936 during the early months of the Spanish Civil War. He was 24 years old at the time of his death in Spain. The circumstances of his death remain disputed in historical accounts. Different sources provide varying explanations for the events that led to his death during this chaotic period. What remains clear is that his death occurred during the violent upheaval of the Civil War, when traditional authorities had collapsed and royal family members faced particular danger. Alonso's death eliminated one branch of the family's dynastic prospects. As the second son, his potential marriage and children would have provided security for family continuity. The loss came during the same period when the family was adjusting to exile and the loss of their position within Spanish society. Personal tragedy compounded political displacement. His death left his parents with one surviving son to carry forward family traditions and maintain their position within European aristocracy. Princess Beatrice and Infante Alfonso faced the loss of their second son during a period of broader upheaval. The personal tragedy occurred against the background of political exile and social displacement. Their response followed the stoical patterns expected of royal behavior during crisis. Public expressions of grief were limited, and family dignity was maintained despite private sorrow. The loss influenced family planning and increased the importance of their surviving son's role in maintaining family continuity. Prince Ataulfo of Orléans was born on September 20, 1913, in Madrid. As the youngest of Princess Beatrice's three sons, his birth completed the family and established him as the third in line for family inheritance. His name honored Ataulfo, a Visigothic king of Spain, reflecting the family's connection to Spanish royal tradition. The choice demonstrated cultural integration despite the family's international background. Being the youngest son, Ataulfo faced fewer formal expectations than his elder brothers. His role would be supportive rather than central to family representation and dynastic continuity. Ataulfo attended Sandroyd School in England following the family pattern of English education. The school specialized in preparing boys for major public schools and had experience with international students. His English education provided academic instruction and social training appropriate to his background. The experience gave him fluency in English culture and connections to British aristocratic society. The English years separated him from Spanish political developments and provided stability during the turbulent 1920s. His formation occurred in a more settled environment than his homeland offered. After completing his education, Ataulfo developed connections to Spanish aviation circles. These interests brought him into contact with the Spanish Air Force and related organizations. Aviation represented both technological modernity and military tradition. For royal men without direct succession responsibility, such associations provided identity and purpose within established frameworks. His military connections reflected family tradition while adapting to contemporary developments in warfare and technology. Ataulfo served as president of Real Club de la Puerta de Hierro, a prestigious golf and social club in Madrid. This position reflected his status within Spanish high society and provided a platform for social leadership. The club presidency involved ceremonial duties and social representation rather than active management. Such roles were typical for aristocratic men and provided visibility without professional commitment. His involvement in club activities maintained family presence in Spanish social life during the post-exile period. Unlike his brothers, Ataulfo never married. This decision, whether personal preference or circumstance, distinguished his life path from traditional aristocratic expectations. The absence of marriage meant no children and no continuation of his family line. His branch of the family would end with his death, concentrating future inheritance on his surviving nephew. His unmarried status allowed greater personal freedom but reduced his contribution to family dynastic planning and social networks. Ataulfo's life developed along different lines from his elder brother, who had married and produced heirs. His role became supportive rather than central to family continuity. Without children of his own, his relationship with his nephew's family became important for maintaining family connections and traditions. His life represented an alternative path for royal men, participation in aristocratic society without the responsibilities of marriage and inheritance planning. Prince Ataulfo died on December 17, 1974, in Malaga at age 61. His death occurred shortly before Spain's transition back to monarchy following Franco's death in 1975. The location of his death in southern Spain reflected his continued residence in the country despite the family's earlier exile. He had returned to Spain during the Franco period when royal relatives were permitted residence. His death preceded by months the restoration of the monarchy that would have restored his family's official position within Spanish society. Ataulfo maintained a close relationship with his mother throughout her long life. Princess Beatrice lived until 1966, providing maternal guidance and family continuity for 53 years of his life. Their relationship reflected the formal affection typical of aristocratic families. Princess Beatrice provided guidance on social obligations and family traditions while respecting her son's independence. His position as the youngest son created different dynamics from his elder brothers, with fewer formal expectations but continued family loyalty and support. Ataulfo's relationship with his father was shaped by his position as the youngest son. Infante Alonso died in 1937, when Ataulfo was 24 and establishing his adult identity. The relationship reflected traditional patterns of aristocratic education and expectation. Alfonso provided instruction in family traditions and social obligations while allowing latitude for Ataulfo's personal interests. The relatively early loss of his father meant that Ataulfo's adult life developed with less direct paternal guidance than his elder brothers had received. Princess Beatrice of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha's three sons produced markedly different outcomes across the 20th century. Their lives spanned from the height of European monarchy through its transformation into constitutional ceremonialism. Infante Alvaro continued the family line despite personal tragedy and political upheaval. His marriage, children, and eventual return to Spain maintained dynastic continuity through the most disruptive period in modern European history. Prince Alonso's early death during the Spanish Civil War eliminated one branch of potential family continuation. His death at 24 represented the violent interruption of aristocratic expectations by political conflict. Prince Ataulfo's unmarried life provided family support without dynastic contribution. His path demonstrated alternative roles for aristocratic men while concentrating future inheritance on his surviving nephew. Together, their stories illustrate how one royal household adapted to the collapse and reconstruction of monarchy across 60 years of European transformation. The narrowing from three sons to one continuing line reflects the broader contraction of aristocratic influence during the 20th century. The family's survival into the contemporary period demonstrates both the resilience of aristocratic networks and their adaptation to changed political circumstances. From privilege and expectation in the 1910s to ceremonial roles in modern constitutional monarchy, their trajectory mirrors that of European aristocracy as a whole. Their mother's decision to marry into Spanish royalty in 1909 created a family that would experience the full range of 20th century European political change. From monarchy through republic, civil war, dictatorship, and constitutional restoration, Princess Beatrice's children lived through the complete cycle of modern Spanish political development. The survival of one line ensures that this particular thread of European royal genealogy continues into the 21st century, carrying forward the complex inheritance of British, German, Russian, and Spanish royal bloodlines into an uncertain future.